The night rain fell like shards of glass, bouncing off cracked sidewalks and neon-lit puddles. Ethan Cole pushed through it, his jacket thin, his breath heavy. A paper bag clutched to his chest held the only thing that mattered: medication his daughter needed before morning. He muttered to himself, voice low, rough with exhaustion. Just a few more hours. Hang in there, Lena. The streets were quiet except for the hum of a flickering street lamp and the low growl of thunder rolling across the city. When Ethan turned the corner toward his worn-out apartment building, he froze. On the front steps sat a girl, drenched, shivering. A backpack hugged to her chest like a shield. She looked up at him. Wide, defiant eyes, but there was something else, fear buried under the surface. You shouldn't be out here. The girl didn't answer, just pulled the backpack tighter. Great, just what I need. He walked up the steps slowly, every instinct telling him to stay out of it. He had enough problems. He had Lena, he had the hospital bills. He had the job that ate his soul night after night. But when he pulled his keys from his pocket, he heard her whisper, "I'll leave. Just give me a minute." Ethan stopped, hand on the door. "You live here?" "No." "Ethan." "Then why?" "I said I'll leave." The rain poured harder, plastering her hair to her face. She winced as thunder cracked overhead. Something in Ethan's chest tightened. He saw, for just a second, Lena's face on the night her mother died. Small, frightened, holding on to nothing but silence. He sighed. "Look, it's not safe sitting out here. People disappear in this neighborhood." Maya's eyes flickered. She adjusted the strap of her backpack. "I'll be fine." Ethan studied her, the way she trembled, the stubborn set of her jaw, the exhaustion that looked too familiar. He cursed under his breath. "Damn it!" He unlocked the door, pushed it. Open, then glanced back. "Come inside just for tonight." Maya hesitated. She searched his face, as if weighing danger against desperation. "Why?" "Because I'd hate myself if I woke up tomorrow and found your body in the gutter. That good enough for you?" Silence. Rain. Then slowly, Maya stood, her backpack still glued to her chest, and followed him in. The apartment was small, dim, the hum of an old fridge in the corner, the faint smell of disinfectant. On the table sat scattered bills, unopened envelopes, and a bottle of half-empty whiskey Ethan hadn't touched in weeks. Maya stood near the door, dripping water onto the floorboards. "I won't stay long." "Didn't say you could." "Couch. Is there. Heat barely works. Take it or leave it." She dropped her backpack onto the couch carefully, as though something fragile was inside. Then she sat, arms still wrapped around herself. Ethan pulled the medicine from the bag, checked the label, then glanced at her. "What's your name?" "Maya." "Maya what?" "Torres." "All right, Maya Torres, just for tonight." The silence stretched. Outside, sirens wailed in the distance, swallowed by the storm. Maya's gaze flicked around the apartment, catching on a photo on the wall. Ethan's wife, smiling, alive. Her arm around a much younger Ethan. Lena, just a baby. In her arms, your wife. Ethan's jaw tightened. The air grew heavier. Maya looked away. "Sorry." For the first time, her voice wasn't sharp. Ethan grabbed a blanket from the shelf, tossed it her way. "Get some sleep. You're safe here." She caught it, clutching it like she hadn't held warmth in days. But as she lay down, her eyes stayed, open, fixed on the ceiling. Her fingers traced the outline of her backpack. Her lips pressed into a line as though holding back secrets. And in that silence, Ethan thought he heard her whisper again, barely audible, almost like a prayer. "Just for tonight." The storm raged on outside. Neither of them knew. This night was only the beginning. The storm had passed, but the unease remained. Days turned into a fragile routine inside Ethan's small apartment. Maya kept her distance at first, speaking little, her backpack never leaving her side. But slowly, she found her place. helping with dishes, running small errands, watching Lena when Ethan dragged himself to double shifts. Lena, frail yet bright-eyed, adored the stranger instantly. The sound of hesitant piano notes drifted through the living room. Ethan stirred from the couch, rubbing his eyes. He followed the melody to find Lena sitting at the upright piano, tucked against the wall, her small fingers trembling against the keys. Beside her sat Maya, guiding gently. Like this, see? Left hand steady, right hand light. Music's like, and telling secrets. One hand whispers, the other carries them away. Lena giggled, coughing lightly afterward. Dad always says I'm too stubborn for piano. Ethan leaned on the doorway, arms folded, watching them. Because you keep trying to play Beethoven when you should start with Twinkle Twinkle. I'm 10. I'm not a baby. Maya smirked at Ethan, the first real smile he'd seen on her. She's got talent. Just needs someone patient enough to teach her? Ethan raised an eyebrow. That patient person isn't me. They all laughed lightly, but behind Lena's cough, Ethan's eyes darkened. He set down her morning pills beside the piano. Time. Lena sighed, but obediently swallowed the medication with water. Her tiny hands shook as she returned to the keys. Maya glanced at Ethan, her gaze softening. She saw it. The fear he tried to bury every day. Later that week, Ethan returned home late, rain dripping from his hair. He stopped short. Maya was in the corner, whispering on her phone. I told you, not yet. I don't have everything. No, don't call me again. She hung up quickly when she noticed him. Ethan frowned. Something you want to tell me? It was nothing. Sounded like more than nothing. A hand brushed her sleeve, tugging it down too quickly. For a second, Ethan caught it, a thin scar running along her wrist. Old, deliberate. He froze. That scar. Someone hurt you. Maya's eyes hardened. Maya, don't! She grabbed her backpack and slipped into the bedroom, slamming the door. Ethan exhaled, rubbing his face. He didn't have the energy for mysteries, but the unease gnawed at him. 2 nights later, Ethan pushed his mop bucket down the gleaming halls of Helix Biotech. The building was silent, sterile, too clean. He'd been there 5 years, invisible, ignored by the suits who walked past. Tonight felt different. Security had doubled, restricted wings locked down. As he scrubbed, he noticed 2 executives talking. In hushed tones near the glass conference room, he paused, hidden in the shadows, pretending to mop. Project Helix trials aren't stable. The gene splicing is collapsing too fast. Dr. Voss doesn't care. He promised results to the Pentagon. If we delay, contracts vanish. Ethan's grip tightened on the mop. Pentagon? Gene splicing? The men continued, unaware of him. What about the collateral cases? Children, acceptable losses. You know the directive. They left, their polished shoes echoing down the hall. Ethan stood frozen, heart hammering. Children, losses, Pentagon. He forced himself back to work, but the words stuck like shards under his skin. Later that shift, as Ethan emptied trash near the executive floor, he caught sight of Dr. Alexander Voss himself. Tall, immaculate, his presence filled the hallway. His voice carried authority, smooth but sharp. He was on the phone. No delays. Project Helix launches within the quarter. Patients are numbers, not people. Numbers don't sue. He hung up, glancing briefly at Ethan, as if he were furniture. Then he disappeared into his office. Ethan swallowed hard. The name burned in his mind. Voss. Back home, Ethan tried to push it away. But Lena's wheeze that night was worse, her skin pale as she slept. He sat at the kitchen table, bills spread around him like an avalanche. He buried his face in his hands. That's when he heard movement. Maya was at the table too, her backpack open, papers spread across it. She jumped when he saw her. What is that? Maya froze. Her eyes darted to the door. Tell me. Encrypted files. Helix's files. Ethan's stomach dropped. How do you even have that? Maya zipped the bag shut, clutching. it against her chest. Because they killed my father, and if you heard what I think you heard tonight, then you know they won't stop. Ethan staggered back. Killed. Maya nodded, eyes burning. Dr. Voss made it look like an accident. But my father, he tried to expose Project Helix before it began. Now it's bigger, more dangerous. And your daughter, she stopped herself. Ethan's blood went cold. What about my daughter? Maya's voice cracked. Maya, her illness. It's connected. I don't know how yet, but I've seen the data. She's not the only one. The room went silent. Ethan released her, stumbling back, shaking his head. No, you don't get to say that. Lena stirred in her sleep, coughing faintly. Maya's expression softened. She stepped closer, lowering her voice. Maya, Ethan, I didn't mean for you to be involved, but you already are. They'll come for you too, if they find out what you heard. The only way to protect her is to help me finish what my father started. Ethan stared at her, chest heaving. The words, Pentagon, trials, children, Helix spun in his mind like a nightmare he couldn't wake from. Finally, he whispered, God, help us. The camera would fade on Ethan's trembling hands, the sound of Lena's cough echoing through the dark. Apartment, while Maya's haunted eyes stared back, both of them knowing this was only the beginning. The conspiracy is now personal. The apartment was silent except for the faint ticking of the old clock. Ethan sat stiffly at the table, bills scattered like fallen leaves. Maya stood opposite him, her backpack open. Inside, folders, flash drives, and papers marked with the Helix logo. Ethan's jaw was clenched tight. Start talking, all of it. Maya hesitated, then pulled out a worn photo. A man in a lab coat, smiling gently beside her younger self. This is my father, Dr. Gabriel. Torres. He was a senior researcher at Helix 15 years ago. Brilliant, stubborn. He believed science should save lives, not sell them. Ethan's eyes flicked to the picture. He found out what Voss was planning. Experimental gene therapy trials on unapproved patients. Children, prisoners, the desperate. He tried to go public. Next week he was dead. Car accident. Her voice cracked, but she pressed on. I was 13. They told me it was random. But he left me this. She held up a flash drive. Encrypted. Files. Proof. Patient data, trial results, black contracts. He wanted me to finish what he started. Ethan slammed his fist onto the table. And you drag this into my home. Into my daughter's life. It's already in your daughter's life. Don't you get it? Her illness. It's Helix's doing. Ethan went pale. Don't say that. I've seen the case files, Ethan. Symptoms match. She's not alone. There are others. Silence. Ethan stared at the bills, at Lena's empty pill bottles. His hand trembled. Why now? Why me? Because you were there. You heard them. And because you care more about truth than most people ever will. Ethan's eyes filled with a storm of rage and fear. 2 days later, Ethan returned from work to find Lena at the piano. Her small fingers struggled across the keys, determination outweighing strength. Hey, kiddo, maybe rest a bit. Music makes me feel less sick. Suddenly, she coughed hard, doubling over. The sound was sharp, tearing. Lena? She collapsed against the piano, her face pale, lips blue. Maya, call an ambulance. Maya rushed, dialing with shaking hands. Ethan cradled Lena, whispering desperately, "Stay with me, baby, stay with me." Sirens, paramedics. The rush to the hospital blurred together. Hours later, Ethan sat in the cold hallway, head in his hands. Maya sat beside him, silent. A doctor approached. She's stabilized, but her condition is worsening. The treatment she's on, it's not enough anymore. If there's any chance for clinical trials, I'd recommend it. But they're costly and exclusive, Ethan's voice cracked. Which trials? Helix Biotech is leading the way. The name hit him like a knife. A week later, Ethan was called to clean an executive lounge. The space was glass, gold, and power. And there, sipping wine, sat Clara Voss, tall, elegant, a smile that seemed too perfect. "You're Ethan, right? I've seen you around." Ethan stiffened, nodding. "Ma'am." "Don't call me ma'am, makes me feel old." Her eyes studied him closely, almost too closely. "You've been near my brother's wing. Heard things you shouldn't." Ethan froze. "I just clean floors." "That's the problem with floors. They pick up dirt no one else wants to see." Her words were playful, but her eyes were sharp. "Clara, be careful, Mr. Cole. Helix is bigger than you know, and so is my brother." She left him rattled, her perfume lingering like smoke. That night, Ethan called the only man he trusted, Marcus Reed, his old army buddy. They met in a diner, the neon lights buzzing overhead. Marcus, broad-shouldered in a Helix security uniform, greeted him with a firm handshake. "Ethan Cole, been a long time." "Yeah, you look like you eat better than me." They laughed lightly, but Ethan's face soon turned serious. "Marcus, I need to know something." "Helix? Project Helix? What do you know?" Marcus's smile faded. He glanced around, lowering his voice. "Careful, brother. You don't want to swim in those waters. My daughter's sick. They say Helix is her only chance." Marcus cursed under his breath. "Listen, off the record. Helix isn't curing kids, they're testing weapons, genetic weapons. Your girl, she's not a patient, she's data, and if you poke too deep, you'll both disappear." Ethan's throat went dry. "Ethan, I need to know more." Marcus hesitated, then sighed. "Then you need allies, but once you step in, there's no stepping out." Back home, Ethan sat at the table, bills in one pile, Maya's files in another. Lena's faint cough echoed from the bedroom. Maya watched him tense. "You're running out of time. Boss doesn't care if she lives or dies, but with these files, we can expose him, end it." Ethan's voice broke. "And what if I lose her before that? What if she doesn't make it? Then make her fight mean something. Don't let her be just another number." He slammed his fist on the table, standing, pacing. "I don't want her to be a number, damn it. I want her to live." Silence. Lena's soft voice drifted from the bedroom. "Dad?" Ethan froze. He rushed to her side, kneeling by her bed. She smiled faintly, pale and tired. "Don't fight with Maya. She makes me feel better." Ethan's heart broke. He stroked her hair, tears burning his eyes. Later that night, as Lena slept, Ethan returned to the table. Maya sat across from him, the flash drive between them. Ethan stared at it for a long moment. Then he whispered, "All right, let's decode it together." Maya's eyes widened, relief flooding her face. "Thank you." Ethan nodded, heavy with dread. "No, don't thank me yet." The camera would linger on the flash drive, glowing under the lamplight, a small object that carried the weight of survival, betrayal, and war. Cliffhanger. Ethan has stepped fully into the conspiracy. The apartment was dim, lit only by the glow of Maya's laptop. Schematics of the Helix facility flickered on screen. Ethan leaned over, brow furrowed, while Marcus sat back, arms crossed. "Server wing is here. Sub-level 3, biometric locks. Once we're in, I can extract the files." "Not that simple. Cameras every corner, guards on rotation, and Rivers, he's a bloodhound. If he smells something off, we're done." Ethan rubbed his temples. "So what? We sit here and wait while Lena fades?" "No, we go in. We do it clean, quiet." Marcus exhaled slowly, studying Ethan. "You're a stubborn bastard." "Fine. But once we're in, you follow my lead." Maya nodded, determination burning. "If we succeed, we get everything. Proof of Project Helix, proof of what they did to Lena." Silence. Ethan's jaw tightened at his daughter's name. "Then we don't fail." Night. Rain-slicked streets reflected the neon glow of Helix's tower. The trio moved in shadows, Marcus in uniform, Ethan in borrowed gear, Maya dressed in black. Badge will get us past the first 2 checkpoints. After that, improvise. They slipped inside, blending with the late shift workers. Marcus scanned his badge. Doors hissed open. Feels wrong being this quiet. That's the point. Wrong means alive. Security cameras tracked their movements. Ethan's palms sweated as they reached a locked corridor. Maya knelt, pulling out a compact device. You sure you can crack that? Try stopping me. The device buzzed, the lock clicked, they slipped through. Down in the sublevels, sterile halls stretched endlessly. Suddenly voices echoed, footsteps approaching. Marcus hissed, pulling Ethan and Maya into a storage room. They pressed against the wall as a flashlight beam swept across. Through the crack, Ethan saw him, Detective Adrian Rivers. Tall, sharp suit beneath his trench coat, eyes cold, calculating. He spoke into a radio. South wing clear, increase. Patrols in sub-level 3. I don't want shadows slipping through. Ethan held his breath, heart pounding. Maya's hand tightened on his arm. Rivers paused, gaze lingering on the door as if sensing them. Then, after a beat, he moved on. The 3 exhaled at once. That guy, he knew. He always knows. That's Rivers. They reached the server. Chamber. Walls of blinking lights, humming machines. Maya hurried to a terminal, plugging in her drive. Almost there. Decrypting. Come on, come on. Ethan paced, nerves taut. Marcus stood guard at the door. Lines of code flashed. Suddenly, files unfolded. Project Helix reports, trial data, classified contracts. Maya's face paled. Oh my God. Ethan leaned over her shoulder. The words burned into his mind. Gene modification trials, military enhancement division. This isn't medicine, it's weapons. They've been engineering soldiers, testing on civilians, the illnesses, side effects, not accidents. Ethan's hands shook. Scroll, find Lena. Maya hesitated, then searched. A file popped open. Subject LC10, details, age, gender, symptoms, degenerative neuromuscular failure. No, God, no. His daughter wasn't just sick. She was a lab rat. Those bastards. Ethan slammed his fist against the terminal, grief and rage colliding. They used her. My little girl, they used her. Maya touched his arm gently. This is why we're here, to end it. Suddenly, alarms chirped faintly. Unauthorized access. Detected. We're blown. Move. Maya yanked the drive free. They bolted down the hall, Ethan dragging her along. Behind them, Rivers' voice echoed through comms. Seal sub-level 3. Find them. Red lights flashed. Security boots thundered. They ducked into a maintenance shaft, crawling through metal tunnels as guards swept past below. Ethan's breathing was ragged, fury and fear pounding inside him. They put her name on a list. Like she's nothing. Like she's not nothing. She's your reason to fight. Hold on to that. They emerged into the night, soaked in rain, gasping for air. Sirens wailed in the distance as Helix went into lockdown. Marcus tore off his badge, throwing it into a storm drain. I'm done with them. Done being their dog. Ethan leaned against a wall, trembling. They had her file, her name. She was never sick. They made her this way. Maya stared at the flash drive in her hand, eyes dark with resolve. Then we bring them down. Every lie, every life they destroyed. But we can't do it alone. She glanced at Marcus, then back to Ethan. There's someone who can help. A woman who used to work for Helix, Dr. Isabella Grant. She disappeared after refusing to sign off on human trials. If she's still alive, she has the missing pieces. Ethan's jaw clenched. Then we find her, whatever it takes. Maya nodded, determination hardening her face. Marcus looked between them, resigned but loyal. All right, but if we go after Isabella, Helix won't just chase us. They'll hunt us to the ends of the earth. Ethan's eyes burned with a father's fury. Let them try. The camera would linger on the flash drive in Maya's hand, rain dripping off it like blood before cutting to black. They now know the truth about Lena, but survival depends on finding Dr. Grant before Rivers silences them. The small apartment was filled with the soft sound of piano keys. Lena's frail hands stumbled through a melody, frustration flickering in her face. Maya knelt beside her, whispering encouragement. Don't rush it. Feel the pause. Music is about breath, not perfection. Lena tried again. This time the notes flowed smoother. She looked up, shy pride shining through her illness. You make it sound easy. It's not. Trust me. My childhood was noisy. No piano, no peace, just walls and shouting. Music saved me. Ethan leaned in the doorway, watching. His daughter laughed for the first time in weeks. The sight filled him with warmth and unease. She's getting too close. Later that night, Ethan sat at the kitchen table, flipping through the documents Maya had left in her bag. Legal seals, patent names, technical jargon. Then one name leapt out. Torres Biogenetics Holdings. His chest tightened. Maya wasn't just a runaway student. She was heir to something massive. Maya entered suddenly, freezing as she saw the papers in his hands. You went through my things? You've been lying. You're not just some student. You're sitting on patents worth billions. You think money erases what they did to my father? To Lena? To me? Her voice cracked. She pulled her sleeve up, revealing the faded scar on her wrist. This is what being heir to their empire did to me. They wanted me silent. I'd rather burn it all than take their blood money. Ethan's anger faltered, guilt shadowing his face. I need to know who I'm bringing into Lena's life. Maya turned away, trembling. Maya, then decide if you want me here at all. A week later, Ethan received a call on his old flip phone. The voice was calm, cultured. Mr. Cole, I'm Clara, Alexander's sister. I know who you're sheltering. Ethan stiffened, scanning the street outside the apartment. If you're here to threaten me, no. I'm here to offer salvation. For you, for your daughter. Helix can give Lena the treatment she needs. In exchange, you give me Maya. The line went quiet. Ethan's heart pounded. You're asking me to betray a girl who trusts me. I'm asking you to save your child. You're a father. We both know there's no choice greater than that. The call ended. Ethan sat in silence, torn, sweat beading at his temples. Later, that night, a knock rattled the apartment door. Ethan opened it to find a man in a weathered suit, grey hair slicked back. Samuel Cole, his estranged father. Ethan froze, anger flashing. You've got some nerve. I heard about Lena. I couldn't stay away this time. Maya watched from the hall, wary. You walked out when Mum was sick, when I needed you most. I was drowning in my own failures, but I can help now. I know how Helix works. Their contracts, their dirty lawyers. Let me fight this battle with you. Ethan's fists clenched. He wanted to slam the door, yet Lena's cough echoed from the bedroom. His fury dimmed to a cold, reluctant silence. You get one chance. Samuels nodded, guilt heavy in his eyes. Marcus burst into the apartment later that week, sweat dripping from his brow. We've got a problem. A big one. Ethan straightened instantly. Helix issued a kill order. Not surveillance, not capture, termination. All of you. Maya's face went pale. They'll send Rivers, and worse, Black Ops contractors. Once they find you, it's over. Samuel rubbed his jaw, voice steady but grim. Then we move first. Go public. Leak everything. Ethan slammed his hand on the table. No! If we go public without proof, they'll crush us. We need Isabella Grant. The room fell silent. Everyone's eyes turned to Maya, who clutched the flash drive. Then we find her before Helix finds us. Days later, Maya slipped into a cafe near Helix's campus to meet a secret contact. A nervous young man sat waiting, glasses fogging as He pushed his laptop forward. Noah Ellis, Helix intern. You don't know me, but I know you. And I know what they're doing in Project Helix. I've seen the files. Maya studied him cautiously. Why risk talking to me? Because I can't. Live with it. They said the patients were volunteers, but some were children. One of them, Lena Cole. I saw her name. I want to help. Maya's chest tightened. She reached across the table. Then you're in more danger than you realize. I know, but Helix isn't invincible. I've seen their cracks, and I can get you into places Marcus can't. A flicker of hope returned to Maya's face. Then welcome to the fight. That night, Ethan stood by Lena's bedside, watching her sleep. Her breath rattled softly, frail and uneven. He held Clara's card in one hand, Noah's notes in the other. Two paths, one certain betrayal, one uncertain hope. Samuel entered quietly. I see that look. It's the same one I had when your mother was dying. That temptation to bargain with devils. Ethan didn't look up. If betraying Maya meant saving her, what would you do? Samuel's face crumpled. I already made that mistake. I chose survival once, lost everything. Don't repeat me. Ethan's eyes brimmed, torn between rage and despair. She's my little girl, my whole world. I can't lose her. Samuel placed a trembling hand on his son's shoulder. Then fight with honor. Don't damn her future to save her present. Ethan closed his eyes, gripping his father's hand despite years of hate. The apartment grew tense. Maya whispered encouragement to Lena. Marcus checked his gun obsessively. Samuel pored over contracts, muttering strategies. Noah fed them intel, his laptop glowing with stolen files. But the shadow of Helix loomed closer every hour. Midnight, Ethan gathered them. They're coming. Clara wants us broken. Alexander wants us buried. But we don't run, we don't bend. We find Isabella Grant and we end this. Maya looked at him, hope and fear mingling. Even if it costs everything? Ethan's jaw tightened. He glanced at Lena's fragile frame on the couch. Especially then. The camera would fade on the group, fractured yet united, as distant thunder rumbled like war drums. The rain beat down hard as Ethan trudged home from his shift. A sleek black car idled by the curb. The back window rolled down, revealing Detective Adrian Rivers, immaculate suit, eyes like razors. Mr. Cole, get in, we need to talk. Ethan froze, his fists clenched. I got nothing to say to Helix's pet. The car door clicked open anyway. It's not about me, it's about your daughter and the girl you're protecting. Ethan's jaw worked, torn. He slid in, rain dripping from his jacket. Inside, Rivers leaned close, voice smooth as poison. Hand Maya over. You and Lena vanish under my protection. New ID, new life. Otherwise, he slid a photo across the seat. Maya, circled in red. Ink, crosshairs etched over her face. You threaten her in front of me? Not a threat, a promise. Helix doesn't forgive traitors. Ethan's eyes narrowed. And what do they do to men who sell their souls? Rivers's smirk faltered. Silence stretched. Finally, he knocked twice on the glass. The car stopped. You'll come around. Everyone does. Ethan stepped into the rain, anger simmering. Back at the apartment, Ethan found Maya at Lena's side. The girl's skin was pale, her small frame trembling as she tried to play the piano. The melody faltered into a cough. Easy, baby. Breathe. Lena clutched his hand, eyes wide with fear. Daddy! It hurts! Ethan's throat tightened. Maya looked up, anguish in her eyes. She doesn't have much time. Ethan pressed his forehead to Lena's. I won't let them win. Not with you. Not ever. Later that night, Ethan slipped into a candlelit restaurant. Clara Voss sat waiting, flawless in a crimson coat, her smile sharp as glass. Mr. Cole, I admire your persistence, but you're fighting a war you can't win. Ethan sat, jaw rigid. You said you could save Lena. Prove it. Clara's eyes glinted. One injection. Experimental, yes, but promising. In exchange, Maya comes to me, alive. She doesn't belong in your world. Ethan's hands curled into fists. And what do you do with her once you've got her? Clara sipped her wine, unbothered. That's not your concern. Choose your daughter's life, or a girl you barely know. Ethan's stomach churned. He glanced around the restaurant. Too many guards, exits blocked. His instinct screamed, "Trap!" Suddenly, another figure emerged from the shadows, tall, commanding, eyes like a predator. Dr. Alexander Voss, Mr. Cole. So predictable. Did you really think my sister worked alone? Ethan shot to his feet. Guards closed in. Alexander smiled coldly. You're useful, Ethan. Loyal father, desperate man, but loyalty has limits. You've seen too much. Ethan's pulse thundered. He scanned the room, mind racing. You still don't know who I am, do you? With sudden precision, Ethan flipped the table, sending glasses shattering. He lunged at the nearest guard, disarming him in one swift motion. Years of buried military training surged back like muscle memory. Marcus's voice in Ethan's head years ago. Stay low, use angles, never fight fair. Ethan ducked, slammed the guard into another, and bolted for the back door. Gunshots. Cracked. Patrons screamed. He crashed into the kitchen, metal pans clattering, before bursting into the service tunnels beneath the building. Maya appeared from the shadows. She had followed him, breathless, clutching a flashlight. This way. My father mapped these tunnels when Helix built them. They sprinted through damp corridors as shouts echoed behind them. You knew about these, and you didn't tell me? Not everything I know is safe to share. Anger boiled in Ethan's chest, but survival drove him forward. Floodlights flared behind them. Guards thundered in pursuit. Ethan grabbed a rusted pipe, swinging it like a club, taking down two men. Maya yanked him onward, weaving through hidden side routes only she knew. They ducked into a chamber, catching their breath. Ethan shoved Maya against the wall, fury in his eyes. You've been lying from the start. You're not just some runaway. You own this place, the patents, the research. Helix is yours. Maya flinched, but her chin lifted defiantly. It was never mine. They left it in my name, but I rejected it. I ran before they could chain me to it. I never wanted their empire. Ethan, furious, betrayed. And you didn't think I deserved to know I was protecting you. The less you knew, the safer Lena was. Don't you get it? Ethan's chest heaved. Safe? She's dying because of them. Because of all this. Maya's eyes glistened with tears. And because of me. Before Ethan could answer, footsteps thundered closer. As they fled deeper, Ethan noticed faded medical files scattered across a storage room. One folder bore the name Helen Rivers. He froze. Helen Rivers, terminal condition. Subject HR09, Myers. Breath caught. Adrian's wife. She was one of their test patients. Ethan's eyes hardened. No wonder he's loyal. They've got her life in their hands. The revelation twisted the stakes further. Rivers wasn't just a mercenary. He was trapped, like Ethan. At the tunnel's exit, a sleek black SUV screeched to a halt. Out stepped Victor Shaw, government liaison, flanked by armed men. His voice was calm, bureaucratic, terrifying in its coldness. Mr. Cole. Miss Torres, end this now. Project Helix is a matter of national security. Hand over the drive and you walk away. Ethan raised the stolen gun. National security? You're poisoning children. My daughter. Shaw didn't flinch. Collateral damage. History remembers victories, not the cost. Maya's grip tightened on Ethan's arm. We can't win this fight here. Run! Gunfire erupted. They dove into the stormy night, bullets sparking off concrete as they vanished into the maze of the city. They finally collapsed in an abandoned warehouse, lungs burning. Ethan turned on Maya, fury and heartbreak warring in his voice. You lied about everything. About Helix, about your legacy, and I let you into Lena's life. Maya's tears spilled, raw and unguarded. I never lied about her. She's the reason I fight. She's the reason I haven't given up. Ethan's hands shook, torn between Anger and gratitude, trust and betrayal. Then prove it, save her, or all of this, all of us, mean nothing. The camera would linger on Maya's devastated face as thunder rattled the warehouse windows. Cliffhanger. Trust between Ethan and Maya is shattered just as Helix tightens its grip and government forces enter the game. Floodlights lit up the grand hall of Helix Biotech. Journalists crowded the rows, cameras flashing, anticipation buzzing. A massive banner read, "Helix Biotech, the future of humanity." At the podium stood Dr. Alexander Voss, immaculate in his tailored suit, charisma radiating. Today, we unveil a cure that will redefine medicine. A cure born of sacrifice, vision, and courage. Applause thundered. Clara Voss stood at his side, smiling thinly. Victor Shaw lurked near the edge, whispering into a comm. Detective Rivers kept watch, eyes scanning, his jaw tight. Backstage, Ethan, Maya, Marcus, Isabella, and Noah crouched in the shadows, preparing for their move. This is it. Once Isabella uploads the files, the world will know. No turning back. Ethan's gaze flicked to Lena, pale in her wheelchair, trying to hold strong. His chest tightened. "Stay with me, baby, just a little longer." Marcus adjusted his earpiece. Scanning security patterns, cameras looped. "We've got 6 minutes before someone notices." Isabella's hands shook as she clutched a flash drive. Years of silence end tonight. Noah placed a reassuring hand on her shoulder. "You're not alone anymore." They slipped into the server room. Lights blinked. Fans hummed. Isabella plugged in the drive, lines of code racing across the monitor, uploading encrypted backups. "It's working." Alarms suddenly shrieked. Red lights bathed the room. They know. On stage, Alexander's smile widened as guards rushed in. "Ladies and gentlemen, our guests of honor have arrived." Spotlights cut to Ethan and Maya as they emerged from backstage. Gasps rippled through the crowd. "You're no savior. Helix isn't curing diseases, it's creating them." Chaos erupted. Guards swarmed. Marcus tackled too, fists flying. Ethan fought with brutal efficiency, his old military edge flashing. Maya gripped the microphone, voice trembling but powerful. "My name is Maya Torres. My father died trying to expose Helix. These files," she held up the flash drive, "prove they experimented on the sick, the poor, the desperate. My legacy is not silence, it's truth." The crowd erupted in shouts. Reporters scrambled, cameras zooming in. Clara stepped forward, face pale, voice shaking. "It's true. My brother orchestrated everything. Human trials, cover-ups, even Maya's father's death. He built his empire on graves." Gasps tore through the hall. Cameras flashed wildly. Alexander's mask cracked, fury blazing in his eyes. "Traitor!" He lunged for Clara. Ethan intercepted, slamming him back. As the melee grew, Detective Rivers drew his gun, aiming at Maya. "Hand it over." But then his gaze flicked to the crowd, to Clara's revelation, to the name Helen Rivers flashing. On the leaked documents now projected on the giant screen, "Your wife was a victim, Adrian. She was one of their trials. Look at the files." Rivers froze. His hand trembled. On the screen, Helen Rivers. Subject HR-09. Fatal complications. The gun lowered. His face collapsed into anguish. "Helen," Alexander snarled. "Rivers, do your job." Rivers turned, eyes blazing, and shot at the guards instead. No more. Gunfire tore across the hall. Journalists screamed, ducking under chairs. Guards returned fire. Marcus dragged Isabella to cover, shielding her. Victor Shaw barked orders into a radio, cold fury on his face. "Seal the exits. Nothing leaves this building." Maya clutched the mic, voice raw as the live stream camera focused on her. "Project Helix is genocide disguised as science. The world deserves the truth." Ethan fought through the fray, protecting Lena's wheelchair as bullets whizzed past. Amid the chaos, Lena gasped, clutching her chest. Her body convulsed. "Daddy, I can't." Ethan dropped beside her, panic ripping through him. "Stay with me, baby girl, please." Her small fingers slipped from his. Her eyes fluttered shut. "No!" Maya fell beside them, horror in her. "Vase, she needs medical, now." But Ethan's gaze snapped to the computer, the files still uploading. A choice loomed. Save the evidence or save Lena, Isabella shouted from the server room. 30 more seconds. If you pull the drive now, everything's lost. Ethan's hands shook. His daughter's limp body lay in his arms. Maya's tear-streaked. Vase begged him, "What good is the truth if she dies? But if I stop it, millions more could suffer. God help me." He pressed his forehead to Lena's. "I love you, baby, always." Ethan made his move. With one arm, he scooped Lena up, rushing toward the emergency medics who had been dragged into the chaos. "Ethan, the files!" Ethan glanced back, anguish on his face. "Finish it, Maya. And this." He vanished into the smoke with Lena. Maya's hands shook, but she forced herself to the console, guarding Isabella. "This is my father's legacy. And mine." She slammed the final key. The upload hit 100%. The files broadcast worldwide. Screens across the hall flickered with evidence. Trial logs, death counts, names. Gasps turned into furious cries from journalists. Clara stood before the cameras, trembling but resolute. "My family built an empire of lies. Tonight it ends." Alexander, restrained by Rivers, spat venom. "You think the world will thank you? They'll tear you apart." Rivers shoved him down, rage and grief in his eyes. "Better than letting them keep tearing families apart." Victor. Shaw slipped into the shadows, disappearing with quiet menace, a thread left dangling. Maya stood in the spotlight, trembling, but her voice rang out through the live feed. "My name is Maya Torres. I am the daughter of Dr. Gabriel Torres, murdered for telling the truth. His voice lives in me. Tonight, the world hears him." Applause broke through the chaos as reporters swarmed, the truth now unstoppable. Backstage, Ethan knelt over Lena as medics worked frantically. His tears soaked her hair. "Hold on, baby. Please just hold on." The camera would cut between Maya declaring her legacy and Ethan clinging to his daughter's life, the dual heartbeat of sacrifice and survival pounding into the final blackout. Police. Sirens wailed outside Helix headquarters. Floodlights lit up the shattered glass doors where the press conference had descended into chaos. Officers swarmed, dragging cuffed executives into vans. At the center of it all, Dr. Alexander Voss was shoved forward in restraints, his perfect hair disheveled, his composure cracked. "Dr. Voss, do you deny orchestrating human trials that killed thousands? You think this ends me? Your children playing with matches. Helix was bigger than me, bigger than all of you." His glare found the cameras, eyes burning with venom. "I will rebuild, and when I do, I'll remember every face that betrayed me." The crowd erupted with furious shouts as he was shoved into a black van. A week later, the world watched a live-streamed congressional hearing. Clara Voss, impeccably dressed in muted gray, sat before the panel. Her hands trembled slightly, but her voice was steady. "My brother's empire was built on human suffering. I remained silent too long. Families deserve the truth. Victims deserve justice." Screens behind her displayed names, photos, and testimonies of those lost to Project Helix. Murmurs filled the chamber. Ethan sat in the gallery with Maya and Lena, who leaned weakly against his arm, still recovering. His eyes softened at Clara's bravery. She didn't have to do this. Sometimes redemption costs everything. Clara's final words silenced the room. "Helix is no longer a family. Empire, it is evidence, and I place it in the people's hands." Flashbulbs exploded as she stepped down, her face pale but unbroken. Meanwhile, in a dingy motel on the outskirts of the city, Detective Adrian Rivers sat hunched over a bottle. His badge lay discarded on the nightstand. His once sharp eyes were clouded, haunted by Helen's file. The news blared from the TV. Detective Adrian Rivers under investigation for aiding Helix operations. Wife Helen Rivers admitted to National Hospital for treatment, funded by whistleblower reparations. Helen's voice echoed in his memory, soft, fragile, forgiving. You always tried to protect me, Adrian, just not from the right people. Tears carved lines through the stubble on his face. He smashed the bottle against the wall, glass scattering. I'll make it right somehow. He pulled a duffel bag from under the bed, packed with cash and a gun. Then he slipped into the night, a disgraced man with no country, no badge, and no forgiveness. In a high-rise office in D.C., Victor Shaw sat alone, tie loosened, whiskey in hand. Screens flickered with news coverage of Helix's collapse. He smirked faintly, unfazed. Helix was only a prototype. The real contracts are already moving offshore. He opened a folder stamped with the seal of the Department of Defense. Inside, new trial proposals, classified. Science doesn't stop, and neither do we. He closed the folder and disappeared into the city night, a reminder that Helix's downfall was just one battle in a larger war. Back in their modest apartment, Ethan sat at Lena's bedside, his hand clasping hers as doctors adjusted IV lines. Machines beeped softly. The experimental therapy derived from Helix's stolen data. It's working. She's stabilizing. Ethan closed his eyes in relief, forehead against her hand. Thank you. Thank you. Days later, Lena sat upright at the old piano by the window, sunlight spilling across her fragile frame. Her thin fingers pressed tentative keys, halting, notes filling the room. Ethan knelt beside her, guiding her hands gently across the keys, just like before, baby. Music doesn't forget. Maya leaned in the doorway, arms crossed, a faint smile softening her guarded features. She's better than you, Ethan. Always was. The sound of their laughter filled the small apartment like sunlight after a storm. That evening, Ethan found Maya on the balcony, staring out at the city skyline. Her posture was tense, a war still waging inside her. You've got choices now. Inherit your father's patents, fight in court. You don't have to stay here. Maya's eyes glistened, her jaw set. I don't want to run boardrooms or fight. Endless lawsuits. My father didn't die for profits. He died so people like Lena could live. She turned, voice breaking slightly. This, you and Lena, this feels more like home than anything I've had in years. Ethan's eyes softened, emotion thick in his chest. Then stay. Not as a guest, as family. Maya blinked, fighting tears, then nodded slowly. Family. Weeks later, Ethan's estranged father, Samuel Cole, appeared at the apartment door. His suit was worn, his face lined with regret. Ethan froze, anger, flickering. What do you want? Samuel shifted uncomfortably, eyes flicking to Lena playing piano inside. I heard about everything. About her. About you. I wasn't there when you needed me. I can't erase that. But maybe I can. Stand here now. Ethan's fists clenched. Memories of abandonment, of empty dinner tables, of his mother's tears clawed at him. But Lena's soft voice broke the silence. Daddy, who's at the door? Ethan turned, torn. His father's eyes glistened. Please, son, just let me try. Ethan hesitated, then finally stepped aside. One chance. Don't waste it. Samuel entered quietly, the faintest spark of reconciliation, flickering in the broken family. Across the world, leaked Helix files continued to shake governments and corporations. News anchors reported daily updates. Global leaders called for sweeping medical reform. Whistleblower reparations fund established. International investigation launched into military contracts tied to Helix. But whispers of darker programs persisted, buried deep in classified vaults. Maya scrolled through headlines, her expression mixed, triumph and unease. We won a battle, but the war's still out there. Ethan placed a hand on her shoulder. Then we fight. Together, whatever comes. Final scene. Ethan's whisper one quiet evening. The apartment was filled with Lena's music. Maya cooked in the kitchen, humming softly. Samuel sat in the corner, awkwardly reading aloud from a legal brief, trying to contribute. Ethan sat beside Lena, guiding her hands across the piano keys, his heart full despite the shadows still looming beyond their walls. As the music swelled, Ethan leaned close, whispering so only Lena could hear. Sometimes, the secrets we fear most bring us the people we need the most. Lena smiled faintly, pressing another note, the melody carrying hope into the night. The camera would pull back slowly, the widowed father, the daughter reborn, the once lost student now family. Ordinary people reshaped by extraordinary trials.